It's horrible. You're waiting for a call that you're not sure will ever come.
Her usual wait time is about 2 weeks. I think Jamie's wait time was about 6 years and 3 months.
I'm Jamie Arango. I'm from New Jersey. Growing up, I was a gymnast. I went to Rutgers University. I was born with a genetic disorder, cystic fibrosis.
So cystic fibrosis is a disease process where there is a protein which does not work the way it needs to work. It leads to mucus buildup. You can't clear it. It starts to destroy the normal structure of the lungs, leading to higher needs of oxygen and becomes an advanced disease state.
I became so ill. And at that time, I was told that I would need the double lung transplant. We looked for centers that would list me all over the East Coast, and nobody would, because they said that the antibodies were too high. The only hospital that was willing to take a risk on me was the Norton Thoracic Institute and St. Joseph's in Phoenix.
We were able to evaluate her. We put her through the same testing like any other transplant center does.
We work very closely with our HLA lab, where Dr. Franz and his colleagues kind of help us guide through finding out the HLA type of each person and also identifying what portion of the general population they have antibodies to.
The HLA lab supports solid organ and bone marrow transplant. So the pre-transplant workup, the compatibility testing that happens to determine if they are compatible with a potential donor, and then also the post-transplant monitoring that happens after.
HLA is human leukocyte antigen. These are antigens that are found on all of the cells of the immune system, as well as other cells not a part of the immune system. What their role primarily is to help the immune system identify things that are foreign to that body and develop defenses against it. That's great for when you're talking about things like bacteria and viruses. When you're trying to then interject something into somebody to prolong their life, those are still foreign.
In most cases, it's not possible to find a perfect HLA match. So really in the HLA field, we've really started to look more at compatibility. Is this potential donor compatible with the patient? Do they already have antibodies against it that would cause an immediate serious reaction against the organ they're trying to transplant? Or is this something that we could transplant and the organ would retain function?
What was really unique about Jamie's case was her level of antibodies that she had, some of the strongest antibody levels that I've seen in any of our transplant patients, as well as she had a rare HLA genotype herself, making matching incredibly difficult.
We have something called a calculated panel reactive antibody, but essentially it's a percentage that says, with this person's antibody burden, how likely it is a donor would be incompatible with them. So if your value is 0%, that's great. That means you should be compatible with any donor you run into. Jamie's CPRA was about 99.9%.
Her usual wait time is about 2 weeks. I think Jamie's wait time was about 6 years and 3 months.
It's horrible. You're waiting for a call that you're not sure will ever come.
We'd had sort of a handful of offers that had come up, but they'd all been very incompatible. So when I got the call for Arango, I was skeptical. I did my analysis on her most recent sample, and I couldn't even believe it. So I start going through a lot of her older samples. I go back years.
In these cases, we don't just look at the newest sample we have, we look at history, because with those waxing and waning antibody profiles, we don't want to miss something that puts the patient at risk.
I was so worried I was missing something. Got on the phone with Brian, our lab director. I was like, you need to look at this. You need to check me because I just can't believe what I'm seeing. This looks like it's compatible.
When Christina called me that night to ask me to run through this case again with her, I was very surprised.
This was a couple hours where I'm looking at all this data and I'm getting Brian to look at this data and we're talking about it. And I was, oh my goodness, this is actually it.
The entire team called me because, again, I was probably their longest listed patient. They were all in tears on the phone, and I'm just trying to repeat what they said because I wasn't sure I heard them correctly. They said, we have that perfect match for you.
Christine and I were talking throughout the night through text message. Dr. Arjuna was texting me as well.
That was a Wednesday night, and then Friday morning I was 6:30 having surgery. As prepared as you think that you are, nothing prepares you for it, It was like a mad rush to get to the hospital and saying goodbye to my kids. It's sad, it's scary. And at the same time, you stop to think because, a life was lost and that there's a family grieving. And at their hardest, time in their life, they're thinking of others. So it's heavy emotion.
Fortunately, she was a straightforward, transplant with a normal induction. We grade rejection or signs of rejection with what is called as primary graft dysfunction. And the degree of grading goes from anywhere from 0 to 3. 0 being beautiful set of lungs, and she was a 0 when she came out of the OR.
I feel like a whole new person. I feel alive, I feel vibrant. I feel on the outside the way I always felt on the inside, and now I can express it.
Ready to go home, babe?
I was so debilitated. I was on oxygen 24 hours a day. I couldn't do things with my children. My children are competitive gymnasts, so I've never had the opportunity to travel with them to see them compete, and now I do.
Everybody in their job and their position has difficult days, right? But these are the kind of things I think we all reflect on. It's like, this is why we do this, is because of these opportunities to help out these individuals.
You really have to have a team that knows the pulse of the team on the other side. You have to have the same combination, the interest, the amount of enthusiasm that we share, because most of the cases are very difficult. It takes a village to make a transplant happen. And every part of the village is 100% vested, and this village cannot be complete without the HLA lab.